Welcome back to the last video clip. We saw on Learning Outcome 2.4, which is to discuss nonverbal communication and how it can influence cultural stereotypes. So as we've been discussing, and you'll be reading through all those examples on your own as well, you'll be seeing that it does pinpoint a culture operates this way. And therefore it is maybe stereotyping that culture by saying that everyone within their culture operates this way. And it's important to know that we should not be generalizing the culture, but really this is just an opportunity to understand the culture a little bit better. If you look at on the page under 23 at the bottom, table 6.2, they give us some interesting nonverbal behaviors that is, in a sense, is generalizing the whole culture, but also just observing that these nonverbal behaviors do in fact exist. So we can just read out one or two. Chinese always use both hands when passing a gift or food. Italy, the gesture for one, raising the index finger, means two in Italy. Okay, that's quite interesting there. And then you can also just read through the examples of considering the context when it comes to nonverbal behaviors used. They're going to just talking here about cultural variations are usually just guidelines to help us understand the nonverbal behaviors. And something that could become, as I say, like a result of always generalizing a culture could be prejudice, which is to form a prejudgment, usually negative, based off the physical appearances and behavior of their culture. So this is going and moving on to our page 124. For example, even students' evaluations of professors' teaching may be subtly influenced by their professors' physical appearances. Next, another thing that could add to your generalizing is attire, because clothing does communicate specific messages. In South Africa, the Setswana culture, women are expected to wear something on their head and a shawl to cover the shoulders at a funeral. Men wear jackets and take off their hats at the traditional kogatla. These examples are showing signs of respect and are context bound. Setswana female students would not be prone to wearing shawls when attending classes. Yet we often make the mistake of attributing the wrong message to our idea of what people should or should not be wearing. Simply put, we judge others based on their clothing. And you can just read through all the examples there about the attire. Our last part of the work is on page 124, is looking at the list of nonverbal behaviors that can be interpreted as prejudicial, which is to have a pre-negative way of viewing someone based off their physical appearance or their behavior of the culture. So if you did this to other cultures, obviously things we don't want to do, and they are here for a reason, which is not looking at people when we talk to them, avoiding touching their skin when giving or taking something, watching them close to see what they're up to. So there's a difference here that they're pointing out is to be respectful of culture and just to be ignorant of the culture. If you don't know how to maybe behave around a culture, you want to be respectful, maybe just kind of like inform the person you want to do that. But by doing these things, it's going to come off a more of a prejudiced behavior and trying to more stereotype towards that behavior and that culture at least. So these are just some list of tips here of what not to do when we are with a culture we're not familiar with and we don't want to come across as we are stereotyping them or treating them in a prejudgment manner. Okay, we are done with this section so far. Please look at your examples in the textbook, and of course you can also move on to page 125 and look at the activities there in the textbook. And as you go to page 125 to 126, there are some references from the textbook that can also maybe add to your understanding of this work. We have completed Learning Unit 2, Theme 2. Please see your lesson plan and complete the VC Learn textbook activities. Remember to write down any notes on the content to ask your lecturer at a later stage of any work that you do not understand from this SciShow so far. Thank you so much for joining me today, and yeah, keep going with all your work. I hope you understand this so far with our nonverbal codes, nonverbal behavior and communication, and then lastly, our cultural stereotypes when it comes to this. Thank you so much for joining me today.